Think back to a time you visited someone's home. You sat together at their table, perhaps shared a simple meal, maybe a warm cup of tea, and then, driving back, you noticed something strange settle over you, a heaviness that hadn't been there before you arrived. Not rage, not even clear confusion, just a hollow feeling as though something had been quietly drawn out of you, though you couldn't quite say what. If this has ever happened to you, hear this clearly. What you felt was real. Your heart and your body were speaking a truth worth listening to. In the time we spend together now, we will look at 7 ordinary phrases, small sentences people speak, often without a second thought, that reveal something deeper, that the speaker, whether they realize it or not, does not hold your presence with the respect it deserves. This is not meant as judgment, and it carries no anger in it. It is simply an invitation to see clearly, drawing on old Buddhist wisdom that reminds us of something important. Not every threshold we cross is one that nourishes our peace. Stay a while longer, because by the time we reach the end of this reflection, I believe the way you view your relationships and your own worth will have shifted. Many centuries ago, while the Buddha was staying near the village of Nadika, his devoted companion Ananda approached him with a sincere thought. He said that he believed having good, admirable people around oneself, true friendship, made up half the spiritual life. The Buddha responded gently but firmly. He told Ananda not to speak this way, that admirable friendship was not merely half the holy path, but the entirety of it, all of it. This teaching, recorded in what is known as the Upada Sutta, was never meant only for monks living in seclusion. It speaks to every one of us, to the people we choose to keep close, the ones we welcome into our homes, the ones we entrust with our inner lives. The Buddha gave this quality a name, kalyanamittata, admirable friendship. A friend of this kind is honest, kind, and draws you toward wisdom rather than deeper into suffering. He never instructed us to simply endure whatever relationship came our way out of passive tolerance. He never equated quiet suffering with compassion. Instead, he asked us to be discerning, and discernment starts with clear seeing. So let us walk together through these 7 phrases and uncover what truly lies beneath the words. Picture a woman we'll call Margaret. She drives nearly an hour to see her son, someone she hasn't laid eyes on in 3 weeks. In her hands she carries a loaf of bread, still warm from the oven, chosen because it's his favorite. Her heart is full as she rings his doorbell. The door swings open, and the very first words she hears are a complaint about not calling ahead. No greeting, no warmth, no sign of gladness at seeing her, only a correction. Now, some care is needed here, because this same sentence can carry very different weight depending on who says it and why. There are people with legitimate, reasonable limits around their time, new parents managing a sleeping infant, someone buried in a work deadline. These boundaries deserve respect, and I am not speaking of a single honest instance of bad timing. I am speaking of a pattern, of someone for whom your visit is never anything but an intrusion, whose very first response, time after time, is criticism rather than welcome. In the old Pali scriptures, the quality of metta, boundless goodwill, is compared to a mother's love for her only child. This is not affection bound by a schedule or dependent on advance notice. Genuine warmth doesn't require an appointment. When someone repeatedly makes you feel you must explain or justify simply showing up, they are revealing something significant, that your presence is not something they cherish. And you, dear listener, deserve to be cherished. Consider a man we'll call Robert. For 32 years, he shared a friendship forged during his working life, a bond that survived career shifts, sickness, and the loss of loved ones. But after retirement, something changed. Every time Robert reached out, suggesting a meal, a walk, even just a phone call, he received some version of the same response. Too busy right now, maybe another time. Weeks turned into months, and months eventually turned into nothing at all. Some evenings Robert would sit near his window, quietly wondering what he had done to deserve this distance. The truth is, he had done nothing wrong. Hear this plainly. Someone who consistently claims to have no time for you has not simply run out of hours in the day. They have made a decision. Everyone carries a full life. Yet the Buddha himself, teaching across vast kingdoms and receiving countless visitors, always made room for the sorrowful, the lost, the lonely. He paused for the grieving mother who came to him cradling her dead child. He sat with her, he listened. Admirable friendship does not demand flawless availability, nor does it require someone to abandon every obligation at a moment's notice. But it does call for genuine effort, a real intention to show up, even when it's imperfect. If someone has offered you nothing but empty promises of next time for years on end, that is not a busy schedule speaking. That is distance. And naming that distance honestly is not bitterness. It is simply clarity. There is a reason the Buddha placed such importance on Saka, truthfulness, as one pillar of right speech. Truth rarely arrives comfortably. It doesn't always come gently. Sometimes it is a conversation that has been avoided for years, finally spoken aloud. Imagine a man deeply wounded long ago by his own brother, not a small misunderstanding, but a genuine injury, something done or left undone during a hard chapter of their lives. He has held this quietly for a long time. One day, gathering his courage, he finally brings it into the open. His brother's response is to dismiss it entirely, to insist that dwelling on the past serves no purpose, that it should simply be released. And with that, the conversation is closed. An important distinction must be drawn here. There is a kind of release that is sacred, the conscious, willing act of letting go of resentment for the sake of our own freedom, something we cultivate through meditation. That practice is beautiful and necessary. But being instructed to simply move on by the very person who caused the pain, before that pain has even been acknowledged, before you've been truly heard, before even a small gesture of care has been offered, that is not wisdom at all. That is erasure. No relationship can genuinely heal around a silence forced onto one person by the other. Someone who answers your honesty by insisting you shouldn't keep bringing up old wounds is not offering healing. They are shielding their own comfort at the cost of your dignity. You deserve to have your voice heard. In any relationship worth preserving, you must be permitted to speak. Of the 7 phrases we are exploring, this next one may cause the quietest, deepest harm because it doesn't merely dismiss your words. It dismisses your very self. Think of a woman named Dorothy who for years absorbed small, sharp comments from her sister-in-law at family gatherings. Remarks about her weight, jokes about her health, offhand jabs at her choices. Each time Dorothy gently expressed that these words hurt her, she heard the same reply, that she was simply too sensitive, that nothing was meant by it. Eventually, Dorothy stopped speaking up at all. She learned instead to smile, to swallow the hurt, to pretend. This is precisely what that phrase accomplishes. It teaches us to doubt our own inner experience. Yet consider what the Buddha taught about Vedana, the felt quality of each passing moment. He named it as one of the 5 aggregates, one of the essential elements of conscious existence. Our feelings are not ornaments, and they are not signs of weakness. They are real. Buddhist practice does not ask us to become numb to them. It asks us to observe them wisely, neither grasping at them nor pushing them away, but never to pretend they don't exist, and certainly never to let another person decide that our feelings are mistaken. If your feelings are continually treated as something to be corrected rather than honored, that relationship is not a safe home for your heart. Trust what you feel. It is the beginning of wisdom. There is a teaching from the Buddha's Eightfold Path that I return to often, Samavaka, right speech. The Buddha was exact in describing it, speech that is truthful, kind, well-timed, and genuinely helpful. Words that cause pain, even dressed in laughter, do not qualify. Nowhere in these teachings is there an exception made for, "I was only joking." Picture a family dinner where conversation turns to an aging uncle, his memory lapses exaggerated for the table's entertainment, or a grandmother's cooking mocked in a way everyone finds funny except her, or an old friend struggles with health turned into the punchline of a story told at his expense. And if anyone dares object, the deflection appears instantly, accusing them of being too serious, unable to take a joke. Here is what actually lies beneath that phrase. Real humor in healthy relationships draws people closer together. It finds shared absurdity in life's experiences. It laughs alongside people, never at their expense. But humor used to belittle, to poke at someone's tender places, to test how much a person will silently tolerate, is not humor at all. It is power wearing the mask of comedy. Right speech asks a simple question before anything is said. Does this help? Does it uplift? Does it bring even the smallest good into the world? Words that wound do not become harmless simply because they were spoken with a smile. And if someone repeatedly hurts you and then claims you cannot take a joke, understand, they are not a comedian. They are someone who has decided your feelings matter less than their own entertainment. Across all my years of sitting with people through grief, uncertainty, and heartbreak, I have noticed something consistent. The conversations most in need of happening are always the ones somebody is working hardest to avoid. Think of a man we'll call George. For many years, his closest life companion refused to speak about certain things, his worries about what lay ahead, his loneliness, his simple need to feel truly known. Each time George tried to open that door, he was told plainly that there was no need to discuss it, and so the door remained shut. Something inside George closed along with it. The Buddhist quality of karuna, compassion, is often described as the wish for others to be free of suffering. But at its root, the word carries another meaning entirely: to tremble at another's pain, to be moved by it, to refuse to look away. Someone who genuinely cares for you will not always find these conversations easy. They may feel awkward, they may not have the right words, but they will still make the attempt. They will remain present in the discomfort, because you matter more than their own ease. When someone consistently avoids what is real, what is tender, what matters deeply to you, they are not shielding you from anything. They are shielding themselves. And a relationship where only one person's comfort is being protected is not yet a genuine relationship at all. You deserve someone who will not turn away from you. Perhaps the subtlest of all 7 phrases, and in some ways the most sweeping, is this one, because it isn't really about a single moment. It is a judgment cast over your entire character, reaching back through years and forward into the future, declaring that this is simply who you are and always will be. Picture a daughter, now in her 60s, who tells her family she could use extra support during a health difficulty, only to be told that she always makes everything about herself. Or a man who shares that he felt left out of a family decision, only to hear that he always blows things out of proportion. That single word, always, is doing something very particular. It isn't describing behavior, it is defining a person, collapsing them into one fixed, unchanging narrative. But the Buddha's teaching on anicca, impermanence, reminds us that everything is in motion. Every person, every moment, every circumstance is constantly shifting. To claim someone always behaves a certain way is to deny the truth of that constant change. It reduces a living, striving, suffering human being to a static object. When someone uses words like always or never to describe you, they are not truly seeing you. They are seeing a story they've constructed about you, one they would rather cling to than take the time to meet who you have actually become. You have changed and you continue to change. Any relationship that refuses this, that insists on holding you to a smaller, older version of yourself, is really a relationship with a memory, not with the living person standing before them. You are far more than their story of you. Now let us speak carefully about what to do with this understanding, because the Buddhist path is never one of anger. It is never about punishment, and it is never about building walls and mistaking them for strength. Nothing here should be taken as license to sever ties coldly or with satisfaction, nor as permission to condemn everyone who has ever said one thoughtless thing. People carry complexity. People carry wounds. Many of those who speak these 7 phrases are not cruel by intention. They are simply unaware, carrying their own suffering, their own defenses, patterns no one ever helped them recognize. We can understand this. We can hold compassion for it. But, and this matters greatly, understanding another person's suffering does not obligate us to absorb it ourselves. There's a phrase I often return to during retreats. You can love someone deeply and still choose not to be harmed by them. This is not a contradiction of the Buddhist teaching on love. It is that very teaching extended to include yourself. The Buddha spoke of metta, loving kindness, as boundless, radiating outward in every direction. But he also taught that this same compassion must begin close to home, with the recognition that your own heart, your own peace, your own well-being are not lesser than anyone else's. They are equally worthy of care. Setting a boundary is not an act of hostility, it is an act of wisdom. It says simply, I see clearly, I choose peace, and I will not pretend that what harms me is harmless. Here is a small practice worth carrying with you. After every visit, after any meaningful encounter, take 5 quiet minutes for yourself, perhaps sitting in your car before starting the engine, or at your own kitchen table with a cup of tea. Close your eyes, breathe slowly once, and ask yourself honestly whether you feel lighter or heavier than you did before. That feeling is your compass, not a tool for judgment or comparison, simply the honest signal of your own heart. If you feel lighter, tend to that relationship, return to it, care for it as you would a garden. If you feel heavier again and again over time, let that be the information it truly is. You owe no one endless presence in spaces that diminish you. At this stage of your life, having lived and loved and endured so much, your time and energy remain among the most precious things you hold. Choose carefully where you invest them. Choose the doorways where you are genuinely welcomed when you knock. Choose the tables where your voice is truly heard. Choose the friendships that leave you feeling, afterward, not smaller, but more fully yourself. The Buddha once described the ideal companion in this way: someone who shows compassion during your hardships, who does not abandon you in moments of loss, who never looks down on you, and who encourages you always toward what is good. May you find friends of this kind. May you recognize them the moment they appear in your life, and may you carry the gentle, courageous clarity needed to release whatever no longer serves your peace. You have lived long enough to know exactly what it feels like to be truly seen. Do not accept anything less. May you know peace. May you know happiness. May you be free from suffering. May you walk always in the light. Before we part today, consider this. Of these 7 phrases, which one has echoed most often in your own life? If these words brought you any measure of peace, pass them along to someone who might need to hear them too. Someone in your life who may be carrying this same quiet weight, wondering if what they feel is real. It is. In our next reflection together, we will turn to look at the opposite side of this teaching, the signs that reveal someone who truly honors and respects you. For wisdom is never only about knowing what to release. It is equally about recognizing what is worth moving toward. Until then, walk gently.